Hello, welcome back to the corporate podcast. I've just forgot the month already.
May,
yeah. May 2023.
Start, Georgie.
I know, quality. How is everyone? Everyone doing
Good.
alright?
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, good, thank you.
well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Got no Joe this time. Georgie's going to replace him.
Yes.
It's alright, we don't need Joe anyway, do we?
No, well.
Me and George are dressed in our finest city tops. So I had to mention it at some point, sorry.
Yeah.
Wonderful night. Wonderful.
So, obviously, I think we'll just start off like we had an order last time of who's going to talk. So we'll start with Stuart. So, obviously, you're going to talk about the financial month in April.
Yeah, that's right. The numbers in April were better than we'd budgeted, which is always a relief when you get to this stage in the process. There's lots of different reasons why the April figures were better, so I'm not going to concentrate on all the factors, be here all day. I just wanted to pick up on two of them. One is in regard to how our cafes did in April. So we had over £100,000 before VAT across our cafes, all its takings. That's the first month we've ever achieved that. And that was partly down to the fact that Etherall achieved 39,000, which again set a new monthly record. And that was in part due to the fact that on Good Friday, Etherall took over £3,000, which is the first time one of our cafes has taken over £3,000 in a single trading day. Now Dave's no doubt going to be talking a little bit later about what the Boathouse has done in May, but that was a really good start across there in April. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Second thing I wanted to touch on in terms of the April results was to do with our pop-up, which operated throughout most of April and ended up taking 3,260, and that was really good. And we talked at the corporate meeting at the last podcast. There was some pressure being applied from certain quarters that we might be opening on a permanent basis. We've had a discussion now, and what we really want to do is give it a try closer to Christmas, but not necessarily open on a permanent basis. That's our feeling at the moment. So those are the two big highlights for me in the April results.
It seemed like it was really popular, the pop-up shop.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. And then, was there something else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the impact of Bright HR, and particularly the POP regime, whereby employees put on their mileage and travel and subsistence. What happens at the end of each month, all those mileage and subsistence claims that have been approved then get processed for payment in the following month's salary. What did happen last month is some people only put their claims on the last day of the month, and that meant that managers was kind of scurrying around making sure that they'd approved what they needed to approve by the end of that day. Now, if people can be making the claims as and when they go along, so that managers are not scurrying around on the last working day of the month getting them approved, that would be so much better. What the POP system has proved is that more people are making claims than was the case under the old paper system, and that's good. Because if there is a genuine claim, then we need to be paying it and not partly relying on people not claiming when they're entitled to. So, continue to use POP, but don't try and leave it till the end of the month, because you may find that manager hasn't approved it in time and you won't get paid your expenses until the month after.
Lovely stuff. Sounds interesting.
Interesting.
So, next, we're going to have Pete talk about employee safety.
What? I don't want to have them on the face.
No.
Exciting thing.
Vitally important.
I find that it is.
I'll let you know. People are jumping to join me. I've had many an email over the last week of people volunteering their time. So keep mocking me. No, but generally, so obviously I put an email out last week or the week before, so I don't know what month, May, around the employee safety / sustainability kind of group which meets quarterly. And listen, health and safety can be a bit of a dry topic, there's no getting away from it, but I think from the people that we've had in the group, and some have left recently because they've moved on to other jobs, it does bring up some valid discussions that your reps bring from their areas of business, so, you know, kind of from the travel training side or cafes or whatever it may be, to ask questions, share best practice with us starting to try and look at a little bit of sustainability. And what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of the environment? What does it mean in terms of Pure? And we have over the past year started collecting that data to look at what emissions are we kicking out as a business, and what does that mean, and what can we do to address it. So hopefully by the next podcast in June we'll be able to share that and show what that looks like. We won't have all the answers to it, but I think me and Stuart would probably say, looking at our drivers and the vehicles that we use across the business, that is going to be one of our, you know, biggest emission areas. What can we do about that? Little bits, you know, you can look at electric vehicles and you can do that type of stuff, but we're not going to be able to solve everything quickly. But we do need to start making plans to get better, because for tenders, which Amanda deals with and stuff like that, for new business, they are asking questions over your sustainability and what are you doing, basically, because there's certain things in Manchester that they're doing to reduce that. So interesting stuff for people like Dave that want to save the birds and the fish.
It's really interesting.
And you're still laughing,
So Pete, can I ask a question? Are we going to have electric charging points installed in our office, certainly at Postman Towers, where most of the staff will drop into?
I think it's a really interesting question. It has capacity to do it, because we know that, because someone did a bit of work beforehand. I think we need to do a piece of work to see what does that look like for us as a business. What's the cost of that? How many of our staff have electric vehicles? How many charging points would we need? I think there's other things we have to look at in terms of, you know, energy efficiency. Can we have kind of solar panels fitted and all that different type of stuff? But Stuart will know, I think it's 2027 and 2030, something like that. There's new regulations coming in around landlords and them contributing to the sustainability of the buildings that they are renting out. So I don't know if everyone knows that, but we don't own any of our buildings. We kind of have different rental or lease agreements on them. So I think we need to do some partnership work, and maybe with the people who own our buildings, to see what does that look like, how can that benefit us. And I think there's a lot of positive talk around electric charging and all this different type of stuff, and there's a lot of positivity around electric vehicles. But if you dig a bit, actually some of the stuff you can draw different conclusions on, because you can see people mining in countries, you know, I can't think of the country where you should have diggers in the mines pulling out the material needed for the batteries, and it's actually got young men, women and children in there doing the mining of that. So I think it's a very interesting topic, and one that is just not solved by saying let's all get electric vehicles and let's do that.
Can I just have another question, only because you just brought it up there. So how do we ensure that we are not using suppliers that are exploiting people that are down mines at the age of 7.5, kind of pulling out?
Yeah. So we have a fantastic procurement policy written by Stuart, and I'm not going to tell you how many times we've reviewed the policy, but I think some heads may have been banged against tables doing that. But yeah, we have a procurement policy, so people that we partner with or new suppliers that we have, we ask them certain questions, or they fill in paperwork for us to basically show us what they're doing in terms of that, to try and alleviate that type of stuff. And obviously, where we can, we will do things locally. So the best example and the most popular is probably the coffee with Hart and Graft in Manchester, I forget the area, and obviously they ethically source their coffee beans, and we can follow their journey and look at that. So yeah, that's one example of how we do it.
Thank you.
Thanks for raising the topic of procurement policy, which I was going to cover in more detail next month to roll it out. So watch this space. Personally, I'm very, very keen on sustainability and on fair trade, and have been for many years. Climate change is a major worry for any business going forward. Electric vehicles are not necessarily the answer to all problems, but we are currently faced with a situation whereby not only are landlords required to make contributions from 2027 and 2030 in different regards, but the government is phasing out, or is currently phasing out, all diesel vehicles, new diesel vehicles by 2030, and hybrid vehicles by 2035. Now, as long as that continues to be the case, we will need to move into electric in some fashion in the not too distant future. And we have been looking at options around that. I do know that at least 2 members of staff in Pure Innovations now have electric vehicles, and I'm sure that's going to grow in the future. And if people who do have electric vehicles who haven't already emailed me about that, if they can do that, then we can get a better handle on exactly just how many staff in the business do have electric vehicles currently. But it is going to be something we're going to need to deal with, perhaps not the next 12 months, but in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, sounds good. Never thought about it like the sustainability of what we can do. It's a very interesting topic. Yeah.
See, it isn't so. Told me off for the sake of interesting.
You're welcome.
Exactly. So, I'm not going to name any names, but
George, you're going to have to join Pete's group now.
Yeah.
You've just walked right into it.
Got a new
Very
recruit.
interesting.
another topic that Pete wanted to talk about, which he was slightly unfairly insulted for
Thank
before the podcast. Not going to name any names, but his driving licence checks.
It was the CEO.
There you go. Sorry, everyone.
So yeah, we haven't done them for a while because you don't have to necessarily do them manually. You base them on risk in relation to the business. But we will be asking all staff who drive for work to produce their driving documents over the next few weeks. There's a process for that, and that will be sent out via email. But you will produce it to your line manager, who will do some checks. And we need to do that to ensure things like when we interview staff, you're asked a question around, do you have kind of a current clean driving licence? Hopefully everyone's been asked that. For driving, and we need to check that we are responsible, and we need to be aware of it. So I will keep the answer to that question short on why we're doing that. There's another question coming.
Can I just ask a question on that? So, in between time of you checking it, whose responsibility is it? Is it the employee's responsibility if
Completely.
you get a driving offence to let your line manager know?
So if you read the driving policy, which I'm sure everyone has twice, you will know it's the employee's responsibility to do it. For those people who are employed as a driver, and we do have a few in the business, mainly in pure support and maybe something from the kitchen potentially, then they will produce their documents annually because they're doing more driving and what you would probably class as higher risk driving. So yeah, it is the employee's responsibility, and much like it is the same for if someone was to receive a criminal conviction.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Can I just add one thing? The last thing, so Monica, our HR director who comes in July, is listening to this podcast, or will be listening to this podcast, because she listened to the last one.
Yeah.
So hi, Monica. So if anyone has any questions for Monica, you can send them for the next one, and then we can try and get some answers, or you give me some time, maybe the week before, I can put some stuff to Monica. So she will be joining us on, I think it's Monday the 3rd of July.
Yeah, and that goes for everyone as well. If you ever do want anything brought up in the podcast, then just send me or Alan or anyone here the email, and we can definitely get it in next time.
Yeah, sounds good.
But on to Dave. So you've got quite a lot to talk about, but why don't we start with the pop-up shop?
Right, well, Stuart's touched on it, so I won't talk about the money. But I think more importantly than the money was the exposure of our work, our clients' work, to the people who came and shopped. It was pretty busy for 16 days. Staff loved it, the clients absolutely loved it, and more importantly, Nathan, who's a client in Rochdale and Oldham, made something like 15 or 20 draft excluders. That was probably the most popular sold item. Now, coming for the future, and again, Stuart's touched on it, we're going to do it again, hopefully, because they get released in quarters, this pop-up shop, between October and December this year. So we're going to bid for a date on the 1st of October to probably be around about the Halloween period going into November. And we met yesterday, the group that did the planning around it, and that is the date that they'd like to do it again. So work actually has already started on making stuff for October.
Last time I remember. Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, we're game on again.
Yeah, whoever made them hot cross buns as well that I got from the pop-up shop, please make them again because they were absolutely delicious.
That was me, you're welcome.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Right, so next up we want to talk about the GMCA.
Yes, so from the 1st of April, since 2020, just around where the pandemic started, we started this Greater Manchester Combined Employment Contract, so working with clients coming through mental health services and clients with learning disabilities. That has been extended from the 1st of April this year, not just in our 5 areas of Greater Manchester, but in the other 5. So for the first time in the history of Pure, we work in Wigan now. Living Services in Wigan, yeah. We partner alongside Possibilities, an organisation from Rochdale, and we share 3 of those 10 areas with them. So Danielle and the team worked incredibly hard to get to where we are today. Recruitment's just about gone okay, although we've still got a couple of posts to fill. But actually, we've hit the ground running, and so far, first month's gone quite well. Feedback from our commissioners has been really, really positive.
Lovely.
So yeah, delighted really.
So you said you also wanted to touch on the coronation party.
Yeah, I think it was brilliant actually. So I'm trying to think what we were doing, but I think Pete and I were about to leave the building and we get drafted into the bakery area of Prospect. And just brilliant street party that's been set up by I think Linda and some of the other members of staff. And stuff like that. It was just fantastic. Yeah. The atmosphere was great. I think our clients absolutely loved it. And they were proper buzz.
A lot
on
of them
it.
do like the royal family, especially downstairs here as well.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of them.
But it was the work that got into it.
Yeah, loves it.
I thought it was great, so it was definitely worth a mention. That it was brilliant. We didn't get a chance to eat anything because we had to leave, but it was great. It was absolutely brilliant.
Should just put some stuff and put it in there. So that's what I would have done. Now, my favourite part. Let's talk about The Lion King.
Right, so this is going to be great. So I believe it gets shown twice.
Indeed.
On the 4th of August.
So the plan is 4th of August. So last time when I did Beauty and the Beast, we had a bit of an issue with the Zoom call, so not all of them could watch it. And I know there's a lot of staff who helped to make the props that wanted to watch it. So we're going to do one. We're looking at around 1:15 to start it. So we can have parents and people come, whoever wants to come, and then we're going to try and go for one after work hours as well. So if any staff do want to come and watch it, then please do. I know there was loads last time they wanted to, so we really wanted to get them involved this time. So we spoke to Justine and Alan, and we've managed to come to a nice agreement.
Well, shout to Kath Brooks about
Kath
it.
Brooks as
Who's
well.
like proper excited. So we're going to do programmes, aren't we? And popcorn.
Popcorn, the whole shebang.
I think she's trying to get me to sell the popcorn actually.
Please, you can wear like a stripy red and white costume.
I'm up for that. We're going to get microphones for all of our clients as well, so we can really produce the sound. And I think we're looking around for maybe an alternative venue with a proper stage where we can. We're still working on that, so it's not over the line yet. If we have to do it at the Brinton, we'll do it at Brinton. But if we can get a stage kind of environment, that's the plan.
The Garrick Theatre.
It's just going to be
The
amazing.
Garrick Theatre are really good. In Stockport, I used to attend there when I was younger.
Bit in Romley. So if you know anywhere, ask around. I'll come back and tell us, and then we'll try and get that place. It's going to be a great performance. Costumes are looking great. Rehearsals are going great.
Yeah, the guys are working really hard every single week. They're working dead hard, and it looks brilliant so far. And we've got a couple more months till then. I have no doubt it's going to be the best one that we've ever done. So I'm really excited.
I believe you're in it as well.
I am in it. Yeah. That was
And Eloise.
and Eloise. Yeah, it's a choice from Alan and Kath to I was in it because obviously there's some prompts that need to be made on stage, and Alan just thought it'd be a better idea if we're involved. So still figuring out where I'm going to fit into that. or what animal I'm going to be, or like what my costume's going to be like. But yeah, if I'm going to go for a rhino, don't ask me why,
Rhino.
but I think just thinking like
Rhino.
rhino.
I got hyena.
A hyena? Oh, I don't want to be a hyena.
Yeah. I remember
I
thinking,
hate
right,
hyenas. I
like,
hate one of them.
But yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, so can I. But anyway, away from that, the last thing you wanted to talk about was access to work.
Yeah, so I wanted to touch on it. So they're a bit of an unsung bit of our contract and our employment team, I think. So there's 16 people that work on that team. Principle of it really is to provide job coach support to our clients that we're placing into work. It could be long-term support. After the first 12 weeks, generally people have gone into work through our employment team will then get passed to our access to work team. So as it stands right now, we're currently supporting 45 people currently in work, sustaining work across Stockport and other areas of Greater Manchester. So yeah, that's made up of Nicola. There's a new senior post going in there to help with some of its growth and its expansion. And we're always recruiting for new job coaches. And if anybody knows anybody who wants to be a job coach and support some of our clients in work, get in touch with Nicola Garbutt, because she's always after new job coaches. Because the more job coaches we have, the more growth we can get in there, the more people we can support in work.
Anything else that you want to touch on? Or?
Stuart talked about the cafe, so I won't touch on that too much, but the boathouse, 2 Mondays on the trot, 2 weekends on the trot, the bank holiday weekend of the coronation and the weekend after, actually beat Etherow. Did well over £3 grand on both days. Yeah.
That'd be me, that. I visited there last week. Alexandra Park. It was a gorgeous park.
And-
I've never been.
And the most bonkers thing is, because I was chatting to Rob about it, is they did that on 3 staff members. Now, Rob, well, before he was the cafe manager, said he wouldn't even have thought about doing £3 grand on 3 staff members. I was chatting to Jill, supervisor there, and she said she went home that day, absolutely wiped out, and slept all night, and woke up in the morning and thought, right, let's go and do it again. So yeah, no, it was brilliant. But yeah, an amazing month for me so far for our cafes across the board.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Really well done. So, Amanda, who was here early today, the earliest one here.
15 minutes
15
early.
minutes to be
precise.
exact. So, we're all very impressed. So, you wanted to talk about the supported internship.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to catch that more around the college update, because I think a conversation just on supported internships is probably a bit chunky, so we could maybe pick that up in the next one. But if I wrap it into a college update, if that's okay. So I think a lot of people know about Pure College now, and obviously we launched in September with 10 places, and we will be going forward in September with 28 places, which I think is a massive leap, if you like. And that's been led very much by the needs of learners. And what we're finding around the gap of provision is just tenfold. I mean, even today I've met with 2 potential learners this morning, and although our aim is more around special educational needs, learning disabilities, very much an employability pathway, a lot of the learners that are coming through our doors actually have social, emotional, mental health needs, and I think that's around our future planning around the college and meeting needs. So I think there's so much potential of growth around what we can do with the college, but also obviously taking the right steps to make sure that it's a really high quality college. Having done an Ofsted day this week, and I feel like the member of staff from the cafe, I could have slept for 3 weeks after that one day because it was intense. It's about being the best at what we can do, like we do in everything that we deliver at Pure. So the college is going really, really well, and the growth continues. Even today, we had a gentleman called Wayne Jones come to the classroom. He's got an OBE, and he was talking to our learners about engineering in the future. And I would have much preferred to have been in that room rather than in a separate room looking through the window at his PowerPoint. So that's a little bit about the college, but then that leads into the supported internship. So the supported internship that we're launching with Pure College is actually the first one that we are delivering in its entirety. Now, I wanted to make it really clear that this has no impact on any of the other supported internships that we deliver across the business, because delivering them in partnership is really, really key. But this is where we will be delivering, obviously, the education component for the first time, and that's with Stockport Council. So you'll probably hear a lot more around that because it's going incredibly well. The chief exec of the council, Caroline Simpson, has actually announced it in her vlog this week, so you can't get a better kudos than that, I don't think. And we're looking at a classroom, hopefully maybe even in the town hall. So watch this space on that. You'll also see some more promotional material coming out because we have got some spaces still at the college. So again, if you work with anyone or come across anyone who you think might be a good application for the college, age 16 to 25, an educational healthcare plan with a real interest around employability, then obviously contact me. So that's kind of the college and the internships.
Yeah, Pure College are coming in here in a couple of weeks. There's a bit of publicity. There'll be a podcast coming out over the next couple of weeks with Kira McNeil
Yes.
and a couple of the lads have come in from who attend Pure College. We'll be doing a autism awareness podcast. So keep your eyes out for that because they were really excited about it when they came and visited the other day,
Brilliant,
which is great. But anyway, you also wanted to talk about Pep and Step.
Yeah, so that's different news really. I think it's fair to say that whenever we're reviewing any contract that comes into the business or existing contracts, at the point of retender we have to really consider what is the right decision around the sustainability of that contract. So what I wanted to talk to you all about today was the fact that we've actually not retendered for the STEP and the PEP contract, which is a contract that we've delivered for a number of years with Manchester Adult Education. And there's a number of reasons why we've not done that. Probably the most significant one to share with you is sometimes the funding mechanisms in education, and we've learnt this the difficult way, don't lend itself to the right support for learners. And a lot of our learners have struggled with engagement, and then the funding for education doesn't always meet those needs. And that compromises sometimes our delivery around being able to deliver that provision. So delivering PEP and STEP has always been something that we've done very well in regard to outcomes for learners, and we're very, very proud of that. But actually financial sustainability of those contracts has been high risk for a number of years. So we made that difficult decision this year. What is good is the consultations happen with all the key staff that have been involved in those programmes, and every single member of staff has been offered an opportunity for redeployment in the business. And I'm hoping that, and some of those moves are already starting to happen, and we are transitioning those members of staff over, and actually feedback around the opportunities we've been able to give the staff have been really highly regarded. So whilst it's been a very difficult process, at the same time I think it's right for the business. What I would say though is it's on pause rather than we'll never do it again, because potentially as the college grows we might be able to actually directly deliver some of those contracts rather than being a subbie, which means we've got more control over that funding mechanism and we can make the right decisions for the learners.
Lovely.
I've got one more thing I wanted to
Please
add.
go,
That's all right.
please.
Sorry to hog, I'm
Please,
making up for
take it
last
away.
time.
Oh,
So,
take it away.
and the only other thing I wanted to say was around increasing the profile of Pure. Just wanted to give a little bit of feedback that we attended the GM Neurodiversity event, which was a learning disability employer event, and Leah, alongside Manchester College and Manchester University Hospital, sat on a panel and talked about employability for learning disability. I thought that was really good. Kudos again for Pure, and also Pure are now a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which I think gives us a fantastic opportunities against around networking for across GM.
Sounds great. Things out there a bit more. Yeah. Now, lovely Louise. So the only thing.
What have you got for me on that?
I've got loads here. Just seems all through all the Dave's name. So obviously you wanted to talk about Vernon and all the work that's going on around it at the minute.
Yeah, I only just picked that up last minute, only because on my way over here I bobbed into Vernon because we are doing some renovations in Vernon at this moment in time, and we've repositioned the counter. So for those of you that have visited Vernon Cafe, the counter was positioned kind of in the middle of the cafe space, which made it difficult for people that were queuing to actually either get their food and their drinks and then also go and find somewhere to sit. Bearing in mind Vernon used to be a museum. So it used to be the place where you go and kind of look at the artefacts from the museum. So it wasn't fit for purpose for an operational cafe anyway. So we have moved the space where you can get your food now. So the counter. I was looking for the word counter. And it's kind of repositioned on the opposite side. So I bobbed in on my way. It's not finished. They started on Monday. They've done an amazing piece of work and they have absolutely powered through. all of the work that needs to be done, which includes the electrics, it included flooring, it included plastering, painting, as well as some plumbing as well. So there were a team of 12 men that were there when I called in, and it looks fabulous. And
Amazing.
they are hoping to open on Sunday. So fingers crossed that we get everything done, they will be open on Sunday for business again. So please do call by over the next few weeks to have a look at the new space, because it is going to look really good. Whilst I was there, I bobbed upstairs, and we've got a new artist in residency up there, and they are working towards a ceramic exhibition which is going to take place on the Underbanks early September. So they're going to be producing, alongside our clients, a number of different, I think they're going to be throwing a pot as well, but it's all going to be around ceramics. And then the exhibition will be moved from the Underbanks, and it will take place at ARC at the Hat Works for 3 weeks in the end of September. Yeah, so it gives loads of people plenty of opportunity to view the exhibition.
Amazing.
The question, and I'll pose this back for Dave, not to answer now, but to maybe come back at the next vlog. The question that has been asked again, and please will people bring forward questions that you may want answering either immediately whilst we're doing the podcast, or to take away and think about and feed back to, is again trips. Now it came up last time, if you remember. So the request is, can we have some kind of systematic approach to organised trips that could take place in relation to the activity within the project? So this being a radio station, go and visit another radio station, maybe in Greater Manchester, ceramics, going and delivering, or going and looking at some other ceramics exhibitions, or even other artists. So the questions come back, could we have something which is planned out on an annual basis, which includes transport and access to some of our transport. So I'm going to park that with you, Dave, not to answer now, but to kind of think around how we can make that happen. Lots of people have been asking again about the Access Festival, and we all know that there's a date in that now in our diaries. So it's always hugely popular. Emily does an amazing job with the team around her to put on a fantastic evening for everybody. So I feel that one is kind of, people are excited already, and people are already talking about
What is the
Festival.
Access Festival, if you don't mind me asking? I'm
Oh,
very new
George,
at it,
it's
so-
the best night of the year.
Well, so I've been told, but I don't really know what it is.
You're going to find out in October.
Emily kind of facilitates it, and it's an evening out with food and entertainment and music for our clients. And I think last time it's about 180 people that did attend, and it's at the Guildhall in Stockholm. I think we're at the Guildhall again. And actually, when I was delivering my values training, so heads up Emily, yesterday, one of the members of staff is also a singer. And
Wow.
excellent. He kind of let that slip, and we kind of pounced on it and said, does Emily know that yet? So yeah, he's referred to as a wedding singer. So I said, your skills may be able to be utilised elsewhere across the business. So Emily, if you drop me an email, I'll let you know who the member
Well,
of staff
George, isn't this slightly convenient?
Well, isn't that very
there is also a
convenient?
singer
There's
at the
also a singer
table.
in this room, yeah.
That's
Do you sing?
I do, yeah.
No
He's
way.
in a band.
I am,
Aren't you, George?
I
Do
certainly
you?
am.
What
yes.
do you sing?
Like kind of rocky stuff, I suppose. But
Rock,
like,
oh gosh, you've got
Hooray!
You're at Kendall Calling, aren't you? Kendall Calling this year, performed at City.
I'm on at the Deaf Institute tomorrow.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah.
Emily, his name's George. He's been with the organisation 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
And as you can see, he's fantastically talented at presenting the radio, so I'm sure will be an amazing band. So there you go, you've got 2 people lined up already, Emily.
While you're here, George, I don't know if you want to talk about the new projects
Well,
that is
yeah.
meant to be set up.
Yeah. So we're essentially looking at starting the Pure Band music project. I'll be honest, I'm as in the dark as anyone. But the plan is there. It's all in place. The whole little project is there. It's ready to go. Basically, I'm just waiting for the green light. And yeah,
Having other roadies.
yeah.
That's great.
Lugging all the gear.
I know a good drummer.
Oh, fantastic! Well,
Yeah, there you go. Virtually a band round the table, with the
Exactly.
exception of me.
Pure
I can play the spoons actually.
Spoons, triangle,
There we go.
all the
What
all
can
the
you play,
important ones.
Stuart?
I used to be a pianist.
Hey.
My goodness, Pete.
Nothing.
Sorry. Could you think about something for the next vlog?
Nothing.
Backing dancer.
No.
Cheerleader.
No. Right, okay then. So we sorted out the Access Festival.
Oh, well, yeah,
there you go.
And a
Really,
new
really
project.
New
All
project.
within the room. There's just one thing I want to touch upon before we finish, which is around our employer work. And I've been mulling over this for a period of time now in regards to, we know that there's been an awful lot of investment from central government into securing more people with disabilities into employment. We've seen that with supported internships. It's going to rise to 4,500 by 2025, is that, Amanda? So that's doubling the number of supported internships, doubling the numbers of people, young people into employment on that learning disability autistic spectrum. In addition to that, we also know that there's additional funding coming from Department of Work and Pensions to increase the number of people experiencing mental health problems into work as well, which poses numbers of opportunities for us in relation to business development, but it also poses numbers of kind of concerns, questions in relation to the anticipation is in 2 years' time there will be an additional potentially 100 employment officers knocking on doors, employers' doors, in the next 2 years asking for jobs for people with a disability. And where are we positioned in regards to that? We're known very well in Stockport, I know that. We, with the work that we've done in GMCA, we're increasing our profile across Greater Manchester. We've got a great reputation for our model of work, working in a very person-centred way, achieving the outcomes, but also not just the outcomes, the sustainability. But it's fair to say we're not household names, so sometimes the national providers will pick up and employers will decide to choose to go with national providers and national providers only. So the challenge that I feel that the employment team have, and the area of work that I think that we need to focus on, is if we had a strategy that said, how do we become the partner of choice for employers in the future, what does that look like? And what do we need to do to achieve that? Because competition is going to be great out there, and I think we need to be ahead of the game. So I think that's out there for the employment team to start looking at that and working with that. And I know Leah will be an integral part to ensuring that will happen. But it's not just Leah; it's every member of staff that is out there at the moment looking for employment. And I know at the employment team we have got Mike coming from home, who's going to do a short session on utilising LinkedIn more effectively and efficiently, just to increase our profile with employers as well, because that is a professional platform. Yeah. So I think it's everybody's responsibility, not just one person in the organisation. And I think we have to have a strategy going forward to drive some of what our desired outcomes are going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, to add to that, Lou, I think we're an organisation that's always been very person-centred, so a lot of our marketing and engagement strategy with employers has been focused around your caseload, your clients, and I think it's around changing, and you're absolutely right, Leah and the team have started to make changes around this. It's not necessarily about marketing just your client anymore to employees, it's about marketing pure innovations and the raft of opportunities and services that we deliver. So some of it's about upskilling, I feel, the employment officers who are every day working with employers, knocking on doors, making phone calls, making great contacts, is to increase their confidence to be able to say, well, if you can't offer me this, can we do this? What's your need as to an employer at their strategic level? So it's not about filling one vacancy, it's around how can we be a disability champion organisation of choice. You know, so I think it's about us when we're doing that strategy to look at training, development for staff. And also, do we look at a little bit of what we've done in the past, Dave, around having account holders? Yeah. Because I think what employment officers may say is they would want some of this because there's an actual overlap. how many employment officers are looking for jobs in one area, how do they streamline their work? So I think it's an interesting thing to debate. I think we absolutely need to do that, and I think the staff would welcome that as well.
Well, I think Leah's already started to tweak the employer engagement training, so
yes.
she's well on with that. She knows there needs to be some change to what we're currently doing to try and capture everything we've just discussed right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want more people, don't we, knocking on our door and saying, you know, how can we be of support to you, whether it be employment or whether it just be, actually, I believe you do buffets. Can we have a buffet
Yeah.
because we have tea meetings every week? There's so much more that Pure can offer, and I think there's kind of, there's, I don't know what the word is, you're going to have to edit that bit out. But yeah, there's untapped potential
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
to actually look at it from
That
a
was it,
wider
yeah,
perspective. And you're right, I think employment officers will be well and truly up for this. And we do have to kind of deal with that old chestnut as to, and where are we going to log all this information around?
I decided not to say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't
Because we do need to address it. It is
We
not
do.
going to go away, and it is only going to get harder. So,
Yeah.
and that's about recording information over employer work that employment officers are doing.
Mm.
So that's all I have to say.
Anyone else have anything they want to say, or nothing from me?
No, nothing from me.
Nothing from
Georgie?
Everything's been covered, yeah.
No, thank you.
No good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, well,
thanks, George.
thanks for coming in again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Successful yet again. We'll see you all next month.
Brilliant. Thank you very
See you then.
much.
Well, if you want the European Championship